Welcome to the first edition of my new series, Boss Analysis. The first game we'll be taking a look at is the fantastic Legend of the Mystical Ninja on SNES. Join Kid Ying and Dr. Yang as they make their way through the craziest Japan you've ever seen. As to be expected from such a creative game, it has a collection of very interesting bosses. Today, I shall discuss each of these fiends in detail, along with advice on how to take them down with little hassle. But before diving in, let's take a quick look at what skills Kid Ying and Dr. Yang have at their disposal. Both characters have exactly the same abilities, the only difference between them is the appearance of their weapons. You begin the game with just a basic flute or pipe with pathetic range. Defeated enemies drop coins, strolls and sometimes lucky cats. Picking up these felines will upgrade your weapon to a higher level and give it more range. It can be upgraded twice, but unfortunately taking a hit will bring the weapon back to its previous level again. It's all too easy to take 2 hits and get stuck with a pathetically short range weapon again. But luckily, you have another option for attacking foes: coins. They are thrown as projectiles and take 4th on your money total every time they're used. They are easily the best weapons in the game, but it would be best not to use them all the time, as money certainly has its other uses. The stuff you can buy from shops can make your life much easier. You can buy armour and headgear to absorb the damage you take, and also pizzas to restore your health when you die. These items also stack if you buy more, giving you much more durability. Straw sandals are another very useful item. If you have 2 or more, your character will move faster and jump further, which is always a nice thing. With 3 or more, you'll be able to reach everything in a secret area like this. Golden cats increase your maximum health until the end of the stage. You can also buy bombs as weapons, but I just don't think they're worth the cost. They don't have the range of coins, nor are they anywhere near as cost effective. I just can't find any use in them. Finally, you can earn special jitsu moves at the Jodo, but they're just not worth getting most of the time. For starters, they cost way too much for someone as impatient as me. Secondly, you only have the skill until the end of the stage. You'll have to relearn it if you want to use it again later. Thirdly, they're hardly much use anyway. The first skill is the ability to ride an animal, tiger for Dr. Yang or cow for Dr. Yang for some reason. It attacks by headbutting enemies, but it doesn't seem to work on bosses, which is surely the time you'd want to use the rare and powerful abilities the most. The second skill isn't much use either. It's supposed to kill the enemies on screen, but it does pitiful damage. It only does 1 damage to bosses, whereas everything else does at least 2. It will probably hit the boss twice, but why bother when you could just hit them with your basic attack and have the same effect? The third skill could be useful for the hell that is stage 8. You can temporarily fly and skip dangerous sections. Unfortunately you can't attack in this mode, so it doesn't help at all for boss fights. But the fourth and final skill is very useful for stomping bosses. You're invincible while it's in effect and it does huge damage to bosses. Problem is, I think it's only available in the final stage of the game. It's definitely worth getting though. More on that later. Okay, enough chit chat, let's go lick some ass! Kick some ass! So the game begins with Kid Ying and Dr. Yang setting off to defeat the ghost woman who's haunting a nearby temple. As you approach said temple, the ghost woman curses the land and replaces all the regular enemies with ghosts. The worst thing about this is that most of the shop's services become unavailable. She has also prevented me from playing my beloved paint minigame. Grr, that bitch has gone too far now. To the temple at once! Any areas with bosses in them will have this raccoon dog at the entrance to warn you that you're stepping into dangerous territory, even though you can die just about anywhere in this game. I hate this guy and I'm not sure why. Once you get to the end of the temple, prepare for the first boss fight. Immature joke alert! Every time I fight this boss, I stand next to where the ghost appears and hold up, so it looks like the character is pissing. Ah, it's the ghost woman, and she was in my bladder the whole time! Anyway, by far the easiest boss in the entire game, she only has 1 attack, sending these evil energy plates or whatever they are after you. Just hit them to send them back at her. No need to waste coins here. About the only thing you need to watch out for are plates coming at you from the diagonal direction, as you can't attack in that angle yourself. She can't hurt you by touch because, well, she's a ghost. Back in 2007, I made a boss rush video for this game where I defeated most of them without taking a hit. I'm going to include each of these in this video as well. Here's the first clip. See, I did the piss thing back then as well. And by the way, I love it when bosses explode like this. Very satisfying. Now that the ghost is gone, the curse is lifted and I can play the paint game again. Hurrah! Righty then, on to the second boss. The second boss is some sort of lantern monster. I don't know what he's called because they don't tell you in this game. He's definitely a step above the Ghost Woman difficulty wise, but he's still fairly easy. Fun to smash apart too. Before you can hurt him, you need to destroy each of the white and red lanterns.
At first, you can only attack the white lanterns, and they're the only ones that can attack you.
You can stay on the platforms with the lanterns and hit any fireballs to get rid of them, but it's risky. He occasionally jumps towards you if you're on the floor. You can make light work of both him and the lanterns if you keep your distance and keep throwing coins. Of course, you might not have much money to spare at the moment, but still, your life is more important than a few measly coins, right? The red lanterns are pretty much the same as the white ones, only difference is that they move about. If you do get low on health, you can find a heart that replenishes health in the centre pot on the right. Looking back, I think the second jutsu skill might have speeded up this fight, but I never tested it. I prefer to stick to the trusty pipe, yo-yo and coin attacks. They're the best. If he jumps towards you and the lowest lanterns are still there, crawl away so you don't take a hit. Now with all the lanterns out of the way, he begins to jump about like crazy. He's pretty easy to avoid, and if you use coins from a distance, he'll be utterly helpless. In the old video, I was too stingy and didn't use coins much for this fight, even though my money total was over 5,000. I'm not sure if the boss of the third stage really counts, but I'm going to include it anyway. Stage 3 is the only one without a dangerous territory, but you can still get killed if you're not careful. During the last section of the stage, you'll be attacked by tiny, weak octopuses. Go a bit further and you'll find out they're being created by the great octopus and his long arms of the law. Not really much to say. If you spam attacks on him and his troops, he probably won't land a single hit on you. And if you really want to disrespect him, you can even walk past him and avoid battle altogether. it doesn't matter what you choose to do, you'll still see him beaten and bruised in the end of stage cutscene. I can't help feeling sorry for the more pathetic bosses, it's just the way I am. But the true menace of this stage is the Funfair. My god, the Funfair! This stage can be finished in less than 2 minutes if you're in a hurry, but with so many fun minigames to play you could end up spending longer here than any other. It has to be an evil ploy to trap players, it just has to be. I definitely recommend spending some time winning the quiz game over and over again. Your opponents are pathetically useless and there are so few questions they tend to repeat themselves. It costs 100 to play, but you make 200 in profit every time you play. Not bad at all. There are quicker ways to earn money, but this is the easiest and safest in my opinion. Most of the questions seem to be about the ghost woman for some odd reason. Don't forget to stock up on takeaway burgers, as I think this is the only time you can buy them. Whilst special skills don't carry over to the next stage, regular items certainly do. Okay, enough of that nonsense, let's move on. I see stage 4 as a big mission. You have to take on the formidable Ulfu army and you get to fight one of the most awesome bosses ever. This is the first boss to come in 2 stages. The first stage is simple enough. Defeat the 2 sumo wrestlers by jumping and striking them in the face. Just don't get greedy with your attacks. And don't forget to crawl under the ball they throw back and forth, because touching it hurts. And jumping over it is too risky. When one of the sumos is dead, the ball begins to bounce all over the place, but it moves in a rather predictable pattern. And when the second one dies, his soul will go off and summon the head in the background to come forth. Prepare for awesomeness. This big head isn't particularly difficult to defeat, but man is he fun to fight. He comes in 4 stages. For the first part, he just floats around, ignoring you. He goes flying back with every hit and it's practically impossible to miss him. Just stay on the ground and attack upwards and there'll be nothing you can do to stop you. The second form is a little more troublesome. He now moves towards you and will try to squash you if you walk underneath him. But once again, you can easily keep him away if you attack fast enough. If he's about to drop on you, turn back at once. You won't be able to get to the other side quick enough without taking damage. You'll also be safe if you stay in the very edges of the screen. He's flying higher and is harder to hit, but as long as you stay in the far ends and throw coins, he won't be able to touch you. The third form is perhaps the most dangerous of all. Now he's even more aggressive and jumps around on the floor. But he's still sent in the other direction when hit, so don't be afraid to keep your distance and throw coins at him. Told you these things were useful. What? What happened? Did I just get killed? No I didn't. Stop talking nonsense. And now for the 4th and final form. It seems to be the same as the first form, but with a big difference. Keep using coins and get to the edges of the screen immediately. Quite possibly the coolest video game moment ever. Far more bosses need to do that. Time for stage 5. It's all been fun and games so far, but this is where the going gets tough. And the difficulty increases just when you have to start fighting ninjas. Coincidence? I think not. And as if a hideout full of the little bastards wasn't wearing enough, you now have to fight the best of the bunch. You have to face 8 of these green ninjas first. Try to kill one quickly and get into the corner, which is often a very good strategy in this game. They usually take 3 hits, but with the yo-yo, you can hit them twice with 1 attack, which is nice. The main worry is the jumping sword attack. If you can't hit the ninja to stop it, walk forward to get out of the way. Really, as long as you keep your distance, you should be fine. But now you have to face Saku, who becomes one of the main characters later in the series, but right now, he's easily the most annoying boss yet. He runs, jumps, and attacks in a very unpredictable way, kinda like a Hammer Brother actually. Bastards. Remember that you can destroy his projectile attacks by hitting them. Never stay on the same platform as him, and move in the opposite direction when he's below or above you, because he might just suddenly jump down or up and hit you. And you wouldn't want that, would you? He's a very annoying boss if you want to beat him without taking any damage whatsoever. I'd recommend not torturing yourself trying. But let's see how I did it in 2007 anyway. Stage 6 is one of 2 stages that has a mini-boss as well as a regular boss. The mini-boss is a pretty easy fight, and you can even find a golden cactus before it, which also fully restores your health. You'll get attacked by 3 Tengu warriors. The first 2 don't have any projectile attacks, so as long as you stay in the centre and use coins, you should be fine. Of course, you have to spend a lot of money getting the pass to enter this area. Hopefully you have lots of spare cash. Only the blue one will have a projectile attack of any sort, and he throws it without much warning. Run away and then jump if you have to. The end boss, who appears to be a kabuki, is a lot more challenging. Thankfully, he's not as annoying or as unpredictable as Suki was. For the first form, he needs to destroy his backpack. Attack upwards to destroy the leaves he sends out to avoid getting hurt. When he gets inside and begins to float around, avoid walking underneath or he'll drop down and hurt you. As with the 4th boss, stay in the edges and you'll be safe. The second form can pose some problems, probably the hardest boss yet. Hitting him with coins is no trouble of course, but avoiding his 3 attacks is your main concern. For once, it's not a good idea to keep as far away as possible, as his poisonous breath attack can't be avoided if you're too far away. The wig attack is also easier to dodge if you're nearer to him. Crawl underneath him just as he jumps or you're going to get squished and take a painful fall damage. Stage 7 has a simple yet very irritating boss. Haku Ryu, which literally means white dragon in Japanese, is your opponent. Stay on the right side so he doesn't hurt you when he raises. The fireballs are harder to avoid than they look, and they can't be destroyed either. Keep as far away as possible and jump to avoid the one that hits the ground. Once he dives under, he raises again on the opposite side, so make sure you keep on the move too. Taking this boss on with the shortest weapon is a bad idea. If you're only going to use coins one time, make it now. You need to keep far away so that the fireballs spread out, giving you the room to avoid them. But with the shortest weapon, you won't have much time to hit him and then get out of the way. With coins, you can easily hit him and avoid the fireballs at the same time. Just be careful of the explosion hit radius. It's larger than you probably think. Stage 8 is the second with a mini-boss. The mini-boss here is arguably more difficult than the end boss. It's a tower of stacking blocks with an evil head at the top. Do you have good reflexes? No? Well, sorry, you're out of luck here. You need to make short jumps onto each of these blocks as they charge at you and climb your way to the top. The head takes 3 hits. It moves very fast after being attacked. Jump off as soon as you destroy the head, or the highest block will hurt you when it transforms. It's very easy to mess up and lose control of the situation. If you time your jump well, you can make it up 2 blocks at once, but that's pretty risky to do. When there's just the head left, it will fly away. The blockhead returns as the end boss as well. First of all, don't concern yourself with Princess Yuki in the background. She has no bearing in this fight. This can either be the easiest boss in the game or the most annoying, depending on how you look at it. He doesn't have an energy bar like the other bosses. Instead, he dies when hit with such momentum he goes flying off the rails. Problem is, he's one of those cowardly bosses who relies on instant death pits to make himself more difficult. What a bastard. You can fall off and die in utter bullshit ways. Yeah, like that. But he can die almost instantly himself. Just one stage to go. You know how some games make you refight all the game's bosses just before you take on the final boss? Well, this game does that in a half-assed way. For whatever reason, you only fight the second and fourth bosses again, only now they have different colours. Is there a reason for this? I don't really know. It might be fun to use the fourth Jitsu skill to kill them quickly, but you'll probably want to save that for the final boss himself. The final boss is Hanyo Shogun and his horse, a transformed kitsune. Whatever the fuck that thing's supposed to be, I don't know. Disappointingly, he has the same boss music as everyone else, but oh well. The first form is very annoying. You can only defeat it by smacking the arrows into the kitsune's face, which is harder to do than it looks. His head is a rather small target. It's easy to shoot the arrows either too low or too high. The safe places between the arrows are narrow as they are, but since he's constantly on the move, you have to be extra careful. But the scariest part of all, this is the only time in the game coins may let you down. Somehow, hitting the arrows with coins can send them flying towards yourself. Honestly, this game is ridiculous. The best time to try and shoot the arrows back is when he's so far back himself that you won't get an arrow stuck in your head if you miss. Then, when he's close, use the ultimate Jetsu skill to safely avoid damage until he's further back again. Once you defeated the kitsune and caused it to run away, it's time to take on Hanyo Shogun by himself. In 2007, this was the only boss I was unable to beat without taking a hit, but don't be intimidated, it's probably the easier part of the fight. Even though you need to have almost perfect jumping skill to avoid getting hit by his sonic spin dash attack, even though he can roll at walls and attempt to flatten you, and even though you need to run like hell to avoid his jump attacks, you can render him useless. By standing at the edge of the screen, he can't hit you. What's more, the best Jitsu skill can rip him to shreds. I was unable to flawlessly defeat this boss in 2007, but I managed it now. Observe! And that's the end of the game and the first boss analysis video. I hope you enjoyed it. See you later.